coal and gold to a land of milk and honey. I'm Jackie Gurden and I'd like to share with you this book that I've just written. It was originally based on our family story, but the audience for it is much wider than that. If you're interested in history of the Central Otago district, or in fact in New Zealand, or you're running a tourism business and you want your visitors to know much more about the land and the story of Central Otago, this little book might be a good one to sit on your shelf or your coffee table. It's based, as I said, on our family history. My great-grandparents came out to Central Otago in the gold mining era in the late 1860s. And then they went farming, and our family is still 130 years later on the farm in Central Otago today. Originally when I wrote this, it was going to be about 30 pages of our family history and Dad's story, just kept for ourselves. And as people read it, they told me that they really felt it needed to be published. There was a lot of information in this little book that had a much wider audience. So that's what I've done. So this is not just a story about our family. It's a gold mining and settlement story. It's a story about farming. It's about the mechanisation of farming. From those early years where we had the horse and the cart, right through to today with the great big tractors that you see on the farm. It's about stock and stock management. Practices like dipping, and what happens in the shearing shed, and what about high dathids? What do we know about that today? Also the battle with rabbits, and there's some great little stories in here, some of the things that Dad was involved with in trying to counter rabbits. Fire, friend or foe, combating fire and the damage that it can cause, and things like monsoon buckets and the introduction of those. Irrigation, right from the early wells, and today our land is full of border dikes and also the great big pivot irrigators. What do people know about how they work? This book explains all that sort of thing from a farming perspective. Then there's the honey story. My sister Dawn and her husband Peter are now on the farm, and they've got an international honey business, developing high quality health products into international markets. Things like honey drinks and also honey products, and also fusions. Fusions are a type of jam that they've developed that uses honey instead of sugar, and they're busy developing that. Their company actually won the Deloitte's Fast 50 award 2 years ago for the fastest growing export company in New Zealand. So there's a real story in what's happening on the farm with honey as well too. It's also a social history. It's got my mother's story in it. A lady that came from Dunedin and came up to Central Otago when she married Dad, and all the wonderful things that she experienced. Mum became very interested in things like knitting and spinning, and there's lots of stories from what it's like from the female side of things, the housewife. And I've written a chapter there and got my sisters to contribute on growing up, life as a young person in the Hawea district in the 1960s and 70s, and some of the fun things that we got up to. It's also a district history. Stan Kane in his 90s was involved in the council and the whole development of the area from that perspective. So Uncle Stan has contributed quite a bit to the book. And also Edna Capel. The Capel name is quite significant in the Hawea district. When Claude Capel developed Lake House at Lake Hawea, and then Edna and her husband Tim took over and developed the Hawea Hotel, and so Edna's story about the development of the dam is in the book as well. So certainly a story that I wrote originally for our family, much wider audience than that. If you'd like a copy of that, it's $35 plus postage and packaging, and you can email me jgurden@extra.co.nz. I think you'll find it's a great read, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.